Peace. Today is the 19th. So before we break down anything, let's build on today's mathematics. We know that the 1 is knowledge. We know that the 9 is born. Knowledge means to observe, to collect information, to gather data. The 9 means to manifest, to materialize, to come to a realization. Now, this is the reason why you gather information. This is the reason why you go out into the world and you explore the natural phenomenon of the mysteries of life. The question I'm posing is, why is the mysterious a mystery? I even pulled a couple tarot cards to help explore this idea so that we can have a steady course. But let us finish the mathematics before we get into anything else. To gather information in order to make it a realization. A realization of what? Now the 9 goes back to the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10. Then 1 plus 0 goes back to the 1. The new level of awareness you have because you have took the time to gather all of this information and to go out and seek and explore and to do experiments, then when you come to an ultimate realization after doing all of this knowledge, it will bring you to a new level of awareness. So when your mind starts to be able to operate on a multi-dimensional scale, the more energy you build up, the more you will be able to see various dimensions simultaneously because you have enough energy to retain it, to retain your consciousness multi-dimensionally. This is how somebody can rise from nothing to something. They start to expand their awareness. The awareness is expanded and can operate on many different levels at the same time, and they have an intricate understanding of how everything operates because they have created this or they have built this thing up from scratch. Because some of these things take a lot of time, to place things in order to make sure that things are running efficiently. So when you rise to new levels of awareness, you are able to see life in a broader perspective. All right? So that's the mathematics. So let's tie that into the cards that were pulled today to represent this idea. The first card that came through was the 7 of Wands. Give you a visual. The energy behind the 7 of Wands represents endurance, being able to persevere through the madness, through the chaos. So as you see, no matter how scary it looks, it seems like the raccoon is surrounded by a bunch of arrows as if it's surrounded within flames, but it nonetheless opportunities because all it takes is one instant for a new path to be opened and you be able to preserve your life and be able to continue to seek and be on the straight path, whatever path that you choose to be on. The next card is a Knight of Coins. All right? We see the owl. We know that the owl is associated with wisdom. Because the owl is associated with wisdom, then we see to be wise is to be able to have magical sight. As we see, there's an emphasis placed on the eyes. The eyes are able to see universally. This is what it means to be wise, meaning you're able to detect various things happening in various dimensions and be able to come to some type of conclusion and relate it to yourself. So you're not seeing it as that's something that's separate from me, that's something that's going on over there, and I'm just able to detect it. This is you saying that this has something to do with me, and it's up to me to decode what does this have to do with me. There's a reason why I am observing this phenomenon in nature at this particular point in time, why there's certain things that happen right in front of me. There's a reason why you are where you are and why you detect things and why things seem to be in a particular way. And depending on your level of being able to decode the various symbols that are communicated to us by the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind communicates with symbols and metaphors and parables and paradoxes and things that confuse you, things that kind of cause confusion within your mental state, things that appear to be mysterious. Why is it mysterious? A mystery, because when we talk about and when we explore the mysterious, you know it comes at a price. And the price that you have to pay is it will change your perspective of life. Now, depending on how ready somebody is to commit to a new way of life, some people have a hard time adapting, some people have an easier time. But you can't go backwards after that. After you have put in all of this time and effort, you can't go backwards. So something must materialize based on all the time and effort you have put into something. And what materializes is a new perspective of life. And for some people that they wake up to a nightmare. Other people, they depending on who and what you are. You can take the red pill and wake up in a nightmare, or you can take the red pill and wake up in a realm of bliss because you know anything is possible. Both of those perspectives are possible depending on how strong your mental state is. When you know the world is a hellish place, but you still seek the beauty within the hellfires, because you know you must be here for an extended amount of time. So you might as well seek the beauty within the madness instead of just dwelling on the madness and being in misery. Last card. We have the Page of Wands. All right. Page of Wands. This energy represents secret and enigma. Secret / enigma. So when we look at these definitions together so that we can understand this third principle, we first had perseverance, the endurance to navigate through the chaos, because you understand, in order for me to gain wisdom, I have to navigate through the chaos and figure out how it works. It seems chaotic at first, but I must seek to understand how it works if I am to be successful and thrive in the position I'm in. I must know how things work before I start giving my energy towards it. Meaning there's a lot of times where we give our energy towards things and we don't fully understand the components of them. So we can't fully thrive and gain off of things that we only understand 50% or 60%. We must understand A all the way to Z if we are to benefit fully from being in any position in life, being able to fully understand what's going on and to be the God of the universe. This is what it means to be the God of the universe. You're able to be conscious of yourself in multiple realities and to live out experiences. Pretty much it's like you're being able to detect 7 different time periods simultaneously. So it's like being aware of LA's time, being aware of Chicago's time, being aware of New York's time and London's time simultaneously, and have a life in all of these places going on simultaneously, and you don't get overwhelmed, you don't get stressed out, you're able to manipulate time more efficiently, which helps you save time so that you can do other things. This is what it means to be a master of time. You just learn how to do things more efficiently so that it doesn't take as much time as it took before. So the more time that you save by learning how to do things more efficiently, by learning the components of everything from A to Z, whatever business you're in, whatever field you're in, it's not just perfect what you do personally. You want to know all of the inner workings of the business so that it could be for your benefit. So whatever you want to do, whatever direction that you want to go in, you know how to navigate because you have studied everything from A to Z. You know everything from the inside out. You may have started off as a wanderer going into the chaos, but you endured the chaos. And through your endurance within the chaos, you were able to gain that magical eye or that magical sight. You were able to gain the sight from being able to navigate through the chaos. That sight gave you an anchor to the essence, or you being able to plug in to the intelligence that is within the chi, within the prana, within the air. You are now able to plug into it, and it helps you to activate your intuition so that you can start to decode the various symbols coming at you. And they are giving you insight into what your next move should be. You know, it's like we have like a roadmap. It's like the subconscious sends us signals. We like, this is what it means to have access to your higher self. Your higher self is constantly sending you signals. It's just in a language, it's not just going to be directly like somebody speaking to you. Your higher self is communicating with the lower self through the symbolism. And if you can understand the symbolism, you can understand the road that's being painted out for you through your higher self. Because this is essentially where you are directing your thoughts. Depending on where you are directing your thoughts, then you are able to plant those seeds or give out those symbols so that they can lead to pathways that you are able to accomplish on a physical level. So everything that you're thinking is coming back at you in the form of symbols. And depending on if you can decode this, because everything is going to come in the form of a paradox, in the form of a puzzle that needs to be solved. Like everything is going to require you to exercise your mind because everything is mental. Sometimes you don't have to utilize your hands. You just have to exercise your mind to figure out things. Like you don't have to do anything physically to think and to see how far your thoughts can go. Can you go all the way from A to Z? Talking about all of the inner components that make something up. The very phone that you hold in your hand, do you know the inner components and how it's made from the inside out? You know how to use it, the outside, but do you know the inner components? Because if you knew the inner components, then you will have a grander understanding of the phone that you hold in your hand and what the potentials are. Because we may only understand it from a creative perspective, what it can do for us creatively, or what it can do for us financially. It can generate money, it can help you be artistic, it can help you build a business, be successful. It's literally a smartphone. It all depends on how far your thoughts travel, what you're able to do with it, because of what you know it's capable of doing. Now, if you're only looking at it for the software, and not looking at the hardware, you still cripple yourself. The audio is low. All right, okay. Let me turn it up. All right. Sorry about the low audio. Make sure everything is good. Is everything good now? Can everybody hear me? How's the audio? Am I heard clearly? Do I need to speak a little louder? Y'all let me know what's going on before we continue. All right, cool. All right, apologies for the low audio, but let us continue. So, why is a mysterious mystery? Hopefully, we understand it a little bit more in depth. This is what it means that everything comes at a price. Meaning it takes time, and depending on your ability to manipulate time, will determine how far you're able to go in thought and how well you can understand the symbols that are reflected back at you depending on where your thoughts are directed. So that you can say, okay, something about that building, something is, you may see a particular bird that flies across a building. You're like, yo, let me check out what's in that building. Just, it can be something as simple as that. This is the ancient science. This is the natural way of life. Before we were indoctrinated with somebody else's matrix and somebody else's system, this is how we naturally worked. We knew how to decode the various symbols that are reflected back at us, because we could say, oh, that's this goddess, or that's this god. You know what I mean? This is the air goddess, that's the sky goddess, that's the earth goddess, that's a goddess of fertility, that's the god of the wind, that's the god of thunder. When you were detecting various phenomenons that you were observing, you knew what it was. You wasn't saying this is thunder, this is lightning. You were calling it by deities. Therefore, you looked at it as an intelligence. And because it was an intelligence, you know that there's a frequency being communicated. And of course, we are like Wi-Fi. This is what Wi-Fi is based off of. We can emit our frequency to intercede with that frequency and be able to form a communication. But people don't think like this anymore. People don't think you can communicate with the clouds. You can communicate with thunder. You can communicate with lightning. You can communicate with the elements of the earth. We can do more than just speaking with our mouths. We can communicate using telepathy. All of these things are like of the past. They shoved in, it's just like, people used to think like that, and the people that used to think like that were, psychos, or they didn't understand. But this is the natural science. This is the way of the Gnostic. This is the way of the Sufi. This is the way how we think naturally, but we have been, all of these things have been built on top of natural thought. Because all of these things have been built on top of natural thought, that's why we have to study things like the tarot. That's why we study things like astrology. That's why we study things that spark our interest, no matter what it is, to help us detect the symbolism when it's reflected back upon us. Then lastly, so that we can understand the secret or the enigma itself. The mystery has to go through a process. And the more we engage in this process, the more we dedicate ourselves to understanding the natural phenomenon of just us having a human experience. What is the purpose of it? What purpose do we serve? What is the purpose of even being here? When we start to ponder deeper on these questions, because it's going to be different for everybody, we're all not going to come up with the same results. It's going to be depending on how our individual minds are wired. But that's the purpose, and that's the position that we play in this grander scheme of things. We play that position. We may not play the position of somebody who knows how to think in a different way. Doesn't make them wrong, doesn't make us right. Again, both people can be right and both people could be wrong, or one person can be right, one person can be wrong. There's different and various variations that can be detected. So we don't give anything extra emphasis. That's why I say that. We don't emphasize things that may be emphasized in the media or in the public. People may be giving a certain type of energy to a person, place, thing, or event. We just don't give any over emphasis. We keep silence within the midst of the hurricane, as we've been speaking about recently. Because because we are surrounded by chaos, but the more we blend in with the chaos instead of being one with the silence, because we may have the perspective of we have to struggle and we have to grind and we have to go out and do all these things. Even when we go out to acquire the wisdom, we still stay focused and have silence within the chaos. That's how we're able to detect the symbolism. It's hard to detect the symbolism when you're caught within the midst of the chaos. But when you remain silent, when you stay on your square, you are able to detect the subtle remnants of something greater, and you act upon those keys because it's like it's playing a song. You quiet your mind to hear the melodies of the song that you are emitting from your higher self. Where's the tone? Where's the tone? Where's the tone? I need to follow my intuition. I need to follow the tone, but it's super, super quiet, so much that I can only hear it within the silence. So I must always be in silence if I want to be in communication with the higher self, with my thoughts, to be one with the thoughts. And that's how manifestation takes place instantaneously. That's how you become one with time or no time. You move in a space of no time, or you move at God's speed. You know, you're moving so fast that time stops. Just imagine we can move so fast that it appears that time has stopped. We can move that fast in thought when we become synchronized with the process that I just described. Being able to detect the symbolism because you are one with the silence and you're not caught up within the midst of the chaos. Then the secret, the secret becomes something that you can manifest instantaneously. And it's not something, there is no sense of waiting for anything. There's no sense of you got to do this and do this, and you can go directly into the experience. You don't need a middleman. You don't need these resources. You just need access to your whole mind. This is how you're able to detect greater and greater phenomenon. The more awakened, the more enlightened your mind, or the more connections the brain starts connecting, we start to be able to detect more things. This is just the brain becoming illuminated. That's the true higher chakra. The crown chakra is the illumination of your mind fully to the realization of who and what you are and what purpose you serve here. Not trying to be great at everything or better than anyone, but you are just simply in your place in the grander scheme of the universe. So you are able to be in tune with what we consider spirit or energy or the higher intelligence, supreme intelligence, and start to manifest the will by being a servant of the supreme intelligence, which is in alignment with who and what you already are. So it's not you trying to become something you're not. But again, as I was speaking about in the beginning, some people have a harder time adjusting to the new change of reality. Some people can understand it swiftly. So, that's it. That's just today's message. We're not going to take too long. I just wanted to introduce y'all to the tarot for those who may not have seen me do a tarot reading. But those who have seen it are very familiar, so you understand the language. So just giving you insight into using today's mathematics and posing the question with the mathematics, then utilizing the tarot as a tool to come up with various conclusions and solutions. All right, so definitely check out the website, Asha at asharenu.com. That's the email. The website is asharenu.com. Everything is completely revamped. So I dedicated time, so the website is up, everything is good. I also have the membership. The membership is up and ready. I just got a couple little tweaks I have to do. So if you want early access to the membership section, definitely send me an email and I'll set you up. So I know I've been talking about this for a while. Everything is finally set up, so everything is at the final stages. So we're moving forward. So till then, I'll get to y'all a little bit later. Peace. We out.